Welcome to MSP Unplugged. Discover lost revenue with Gradient. I'm your host, Paco LeBron. This is our live show where we discuss different ways to run your IT business, whether it's managed services, consulting, break fix, or anything in between. Let me go ahead and introduce my co-host. It is none other than Rick Smith over at Renactus Technology. Rick, how are you?
I'm doing good, Paco. Can't complain.
Happy Friday indeed. And I'd like to welcome back again our guest, Colin Knox over at Gradient MSP. Great. Colin, how are you today?
Doing awesome. How are you guys?
You know, like my phrase, I like to say better than good, better than most. So it's definitely a good time here.
Awesome.
And yeah, the end of a Friday. I know it's a special episode that we didn't have on our normal Tuesday, but we wanted to make sure we brought you in, talk a little bit about the new things that we got going on over at Gradient.
Yeah.
For those that are interested, and just chat more on all that's going on over with you guys, because I know that there's a lot of exciting news since we last talked about you all.
Yeah.
I think I was looking, it was 3 months ago, so I know a lot has changed.
Man. We've done just a few things.
Then.
It's been a busy 3 months.
That is for sure. But before we go into all that, I got to talk about what I love to talk about, and that is Techcon Unplugged. I usually go into my spiel of when it is, when it's happening, where it's at, but I can't really go through that right now. But I can tell you this. We will be officially announcing, and I've been kind of hemming and hawing saying end of month, this. Officially, we will be making our announcement January 4th on when this is actually happening, where you can get your tickets, and who and when, kind of all the fun things that are going to be happening. We got some new things that we're going to be bringing out. We've been listening to the community on a couple things, maybe a breakout session or two, as people have been talking about in our previous shows. So we will get more into that. But to stay up to date, head over to techconunplugged.com, sign up for the newsletter, and we will be sure to keep you in the know as we make our announcement January 4th. But there's a chance we may let you all know sooner if you sign up. So again, techconunplugged.com, head over there, and we will go from that point. All right. So, Colin, for those that may not have listened to the episode 3 months ago, or maybe are not as familiar with you, why don't you give us just a quick 30-second on what you do over at Gradient and what Gradient does?
Yeah. So we've got a grand mission to make the whole IT channel just more connected. And we're starting with that by connecting the resale stack of solutions that MSPs resell through to the PSAs that they run their business on. So first use case of integrations and automation is billing reconciliation. So in a nutshell, we're just all about right now making sure you get paid for everything you do, everything you're delivering, everything you're selling. Nothing falls through the cracks with that. So yeah, revenue is hard enough to come by as it is. So making sure nothing's falling out by the wayside as you're running and gunning through your business.
Yeah, I mean, that's me and Rick can constitute to that, because I tell you, it's been running us ragged lately, because it's just there's so much to do, right? And you and I were just talking about this earlier. I was just mentioning how a tech was messaging me about trying to access another system, and it's like they're a couple weeks in, and it's like there's all these systems, there's all these places, and you think about productivity, but you never really think about like cost and billing and things like that of what you're paying for and services. Yeah. And we'll get into that in a little bit with the new module and product that you all announced at Leg Up.
Yeah.
Now, as far as it's been 3 months, right? And I think that you have, from then to now, there's been a lot of things that have happened. I think that, one thing I want to highlight is a lot of the new familiar faces that joined over at Gradient. I think Dave Goldie is a notable name to say that he joined over at Gradient, and a lot of other people that have joined on. Kind of tell us a little bit about kind of your expansion on just getting the right people to help spread the really the mission and notoriety of what you're looking to get out of Gradient, and making sure that everyone knows.
Yeah, so it's been a lot, man. Like, we're just over a year old as a business now. Last time we talked, I want to say we were about 10 people in the company and just charging hard. And as of this upcoming Wednesday, so as of the 15th, we'll be 25 employees now. So nice. 2.5 times or 150% growth in a few months, kind of 2 months time. overall that, we brought on Dave Goldie. So he's our VP of channel, very well-known name in the space. We didn't bring him in because of his name. We brought him in because of the passion he has for the industry and just how deeply he knows and cares for MSPs, which is so important to us, of making sure that if we're trying to give better vision and better voice and everything to MSPs, we need people that truly understand them. Super stoked to have a couple former MSPs join into the success and support team. So former technicians, former ops people have come in. Not notable names that everybody would recognize, but they've lived in the trenches, answering support tickets, working in different systems, monitoring alerts in different portals. So they genuinely get that stuff. Just last week, we were super thrilled to have Ashley Cooper join the team. So very, we call her our, she's like our franchise player. She's the celebrity across MSP Geek and the subreddit and everything else. But she's kind of come on to help steer some of the partner experience initiatives that we're working on to make sure that MSPs are having the most incredible and exceptional experiences, both in how they partner with us, but in the product and everything as well, along that whole journey. So it's growing fast and furious. We have a couple other well-known names that we'll be announcing next week that are joining the company on the channel team. But it's kind of nuts. We did a whole lot in the first year. We just announced in November that we raised our Series A. And so brought on just over $10 million in Series A funding to really help us accelerate the path that we're on and spread the word that much further and expand the technology and the platform a lot more.
And I think that's a big piece to really highlight because, a lot of people will see a lot of these announcements and they're like, oh, great. This business raised X amount from equity or investors or private investors and whatever. How does that matter to me? And I think what people need to take away is that, now you have the ability to expand the product and platform and technology and just the right people to get involved. But two, it shows that there are bigger entities that believe in that mission, and it's not it gives that credibility, right? I think it allows you to say, okay, we got some really heavy hitters that are believing in us to do this, and that just shows that, hey, we're just not some startup that started up, whether it was you or someone else, because I think you have a history itself on other companies that you formed, but it just helps really levitate to those that know that, hey, we're going to be here for a little bit. We're going to be here to really figure out.
It's multifaceted. I lived the life of the MSP, right? Like I started my MSP with $2,000, which I spent on a laptop, and then just put on the suit and hit the streets and supported people. And only as we grew on revenue and had profit did we add staff, did we add more, and we were really hard at that and growing it. It's a whole different world when you're building with, or going after a global market, and the cost and capital associated with that, and the need to acquire and retain truly top talent that can pull this stuff off. We went out and part of it is definitely getting validation as to other people believing in the mission that we're on. But we probably wouldn't have been able to raise that money if we hadn't proved with a few hundred MSPs that had jumped onto the base part of our platform already in just kind of a couple months when we launched the first component, their first module. So it was a great testament to the opportunity. But we see it a lot as just being an investment in the industry, in the IT channel, because what we are truly trying to do is empower MSPs. And that sounds so cliche because every vendor that's ever come into this market says, oh, we're here to empower you. Your success is our success. And the thing for us is, like, it starts out as a free product, and then we've got, pricing plans and upgrade options, but we don't have an option of selling to enterprise with what we're building, or into mid-market or direct or anything else, because what we're building is not just purpose built for MSPs. It would only work for MSPs. It can't even be band-aided and rigged around to work for a different industry or different anything. We are only working on integrating other solutions and tools into PSAs, and PSAs are very centric to an MSP. And so for us, when it comes to empowering MSPs with what we see and what we're kind of calling as the fight for the freedom of choice, and then also easing the path to MSPs for best of breed solutions in the world, whether that's security, whether that's backup, whether that's some automation or efficiency or some other type of productivity tool. We're trying to make a world where, as an MSP, you never need to concede on any criteria, any facet, because the solution you really want doesn't integrate to your stack. So it's not easy to use, it's not easy to manage, easy to deploy, or anything else. And so that's what we're trying to do here. And we're very fortunate to have the capital partners that we do now to support that mission and help us get there. So yeah, that's it's been a big journey.
Yeah, I mean, you've mentioned quite a few things, and I want to go poke Rick because we're always trying to chase that. How do we make things more efficient? How do we chase getting those integrations properly done? Rick, how much time do you think we probably waste trying to figure out how to make something more efficient? And then once we get to that point, we realize, damn, for the amount of time we took, it probably would have been faster to just do this manually. How are integrations really feeding into your business right now, and how you're trying to be more efficient?
Well, it's it's the cornerstone, really. As a tech, you don't have it. As a tech, business owner, both. Your time is limited. And you find that you spend a lot of time on things that should be automated, or you spend a lot of time trying to figure out how to automate something. So it gets to be frustrating. And it's a winding circle for us, because I always think I'm chasing work, but I'm chasing a clock all the time is what I'm doing. My time is really the only thing I can't get back. And I find that I lose a lot in trying to automate and trying to simplify things when there are things out there that could help me. And sometimes you just don't know. Sometimes you say, I don't want to spend the money on it. Or sometimes I could do it better myself. But in the end, we have to learn. And I've learned this lesson the hard way, is that your time is more important than anything else. So if there are tools out there that can really help you, you need to take advantage of it. No. So I'm going to ask this question, Colin. I'm sorry.
You go nuts, man.
Tell me how Gradient can help me.
Sure. So let me put it this way. You guys, just as an industry, MSPs have taken on so many things for automation, right? But really, it's all been on the service delivery side. It's been deployment of software. It's been doing patch management and patching things, monitoring, auto remediation, things like that. Everything's been on the technician side of service delivery, so you can support more and more users, more and more clients, and run faster on the service delivery side. But no focus really, it seems, has been done on the business side, the administration and back end of the business, which comes down to the more clients you have, the more administration there is. The more solutions you're reselling, the more administration there is. And how easy is it for things to fall through the cracks when it comes to, okay, this client agreed to this, I talked to them about it. Now, maybe depending on the size and scale of your organization, the technician might have talked to them about a product or a solution. They approved it. The technician deploys it, gets it going because you're a service-focused organization. And then whoever's doing your billing and invoicing at the end of the month has no idea that was deployed, that's running, that's going, right? Or your client grows, so you just provision more licenses, more seats. All of a sudden, that doesn't make it back. Or you have a pandemic-based situation, and they have to cut off half of their workforce. And now there's all of these seats that aren't actually in use, and you're still billing them for it, but you don't realize it. And that's just one of those examples. So every month, as an industry, MSPs are spending about 1 million hours a month reconciling billing across their resale stack, opening up your 10, 20, 30 partner portals and looking at your list of clients And then you're in your PSA, whichever one it is, and you got your list of contracts, and you're just so dizzy looking back and forth. And then we're all, technicians and service, servant service people, and a phone call comes in. And so you take the call and you help the client, you start doing stuff, and then you put the call down and you're like, oh man, where was I with this? What contract was I on? And where do I get back to? So then you're redoing work, or you just give up and you say, screw this. Like, I got too many other things to do. I'm exhausted. I got to close these tickets. I got to do whatever. And so I don't do it. Well, how much revenue are you leaving on the table? Or how much are you actually overbilling clients, right? So there's all these intrinsic pains that come with it, not just the infuriation and stress of going through that process and the time waste, but then you've got the compounded, we've talked with other partners, and they're all talking about 3 to 10% of their revenue they're guessing that they're missing out on, right? Well, we did another podcast with a popular person on a Facebook group, and he had just gone through a process for 3 days in his business, not a massive MSP, and they had already uncovered 20% of revenue that they weren't charging for.
Wow.
Right? We have partners that we've started going through discoveries with. One partner found $42,000 that they hadn't billed one client over a year because they're just stuck in the rat race.
Yep.
So when you look at how profitable you are, I remember my earliest year, we did $20,000 in profit. And like, I don't say that to brag, and I don't say that to make fun of myself, but it was $20,000 in profit. When we did, and we were lucky, we did about $1 million in revenue that year. So we invested a lot behind being able to deliver that. But if I was able to find 10% more, my cost of goods sold was already there. My vendors were charging me for what was deployed. I just wasn't billing my clients for it. That's pure profit, man. Like, I could have doubled my profit with that. And whether that's hitting my pocket and I'm taking the family to Disney World for a week and a good vacation, or if I'm doubling down and dropping that 20 grand into, an administrative person to help me with procurement or whatever else. So there's just all of these pains that come as a result of what's going on. You ever had a call where a client called you out because you were overbilling them for too many seats on something?
Yep.
I have. And you think at first, hey, easy conversation, I'm so sorry. You know what? Oh, super oversight, everything else. And you fix it up. Well, one, that just took time. Right? And you had to redo stuff. You had to resubmit invoices. You had to change your book, tell your bookkeeper, everything else. But then beyond that, that client is going to take a long time before they ever blindly pay an invoice of yours again. They're going to review it. They're going to back check it. And that it's just this little notch in the confidence that they have in what's going on now, right? And with as fast as we're trying to run, as much as we're trying to, we just can't afford to have those types of things happen. But it does. We're these high-tech companies taking such an antiquated approach. We say you're doing billing like it's 1999 still, when we're living in 2021, almost 2022, right? Like, why are we still doing things the way that they were done 2 decades ago when all of this stuff is available to us with technology, and there's so many other ways that we can, better spend that time?
It's a good point, because I know that for me, it kind of comes up every year. And it's usually the fourth quarter when I'm reviewing clients, for next year, for the following year. I realize, hey, I put this in and I never invoiced them for it, or I did this. So it makes a lot of sense. And, by the time you discover it, then you're in that bubble of, now do I go back to the client and say, hey,
you can't, right? You can't, right? It's one of those things like, who wants to admit that they made a big mess up? Right. And honestly, who's got the courage to go back and be like, yeah, hey, I know you're a small business too. You owe us $5,000. You owe us whatever. They're gonna be like, forget it, man. Like you should have charged that for it. It's your goof. You got to eat it. But it snowballs, right? Like we have a partner that was doing a review of stuff and looking through it, and on their MFA provider and solution, there was 50 licenses that they hadn't billed for 18 months, I think it was. Now that sounds small, right? Like, okay, $4 a shot, $200 a month type of thing, right? Big whoop. 18 months, that's $3,600. You want to know what I could do with $3,600? Right? You can't get that. And then that's one service against one client. as MSPs, when you start thinking about just the breadth of security solutions that you're offering with EDR and DNS proxy and filtering, and you've got mail protection and backup and SaaS backup and all of these things, like you got 20 services across 20 clients who are all dynamically changing with new staff added, removed, new services adopted, everything else. It's impossible to keep up with. So yeah, that's the big thing we're trying to solve, and it seems and sounds simple, but I can assure you it's not been a simple task to solve so far.
I mean, even when like what you all have said, the biggest issue I had, and when I saw the billable product that you're offering, is like you said, there's so many dashboards, there's so many places to check, and then when you have someone else doing it, so I have my office manager handling, making sure billing is right, making sure all that's good. And, if my tech added a license, did she properly bill for that license when she created it? Yeah. All of that type of stuff. And so that had been a huge conversation. I mean, for months trying to figure out, why are we not billing for this user when clearly there's an email that says add this user, it's a new hire. Yeah. So now we've just missed this for 2 months. Or why wasn't this piece of equipment added on there? You had the expense receipt in the expenses. It's a whole bunch of stuff or whatever that's been loaded into the product side and things of that nature. But the moment I looked at Billable, it has the ability of, and I'll have you kind of talk more on how to get the most out of Billable, is it integrated right into Synchro for our PSA. We were able to pull into that. We looked at both of what we're using for a lot of our source of items. So in this case, we use PackSafe for our Microsoft licensing and so forth and so on. And then as we were looking at all those line items, packages, whatever, we saw quite a few, like, well, there's 12 contacts here. You're only billing for 11. What happened? And now it's the ability of trying to figure out, okay, what went wrong, right? And doing a QA or QC, quality control, to really figure out, all right, what needs to get better and help us on our onboarding and offboarding process, which is a huge, time sucking to begin with. But this will allow you to get that more automated. And two, now we're not messing around trying to figure out multiple dashboards. We have this one place to really figure out what's going on. Why don't you talk a little bit more on how Billable is making it easier for MSPs and IT service providers to just audit, what they have going on?
Totally. So we start with a free version where, from a single screen, we've broken it down to per product line or per service line. And over however long it's been, MSPs, whether they've been coached to or it's just been a natural tendency, all look at their business as, how is my total revenue and how's my total profit? And then the next step down, and the last step down that most of them seem to make, is what's my revenue per contract and my profit per contract? Would you say that's accurate? Is that how you've looked at your business before? Yeah, right?
Pretty much.
But one thing that doesn't flow through is all of your contracts have multiple line items on it, or typically, whether it's bundled or however you do it, there's multiple components that flow into that. So we've broken it down per line item and taken your whole service catalog of all the services you're reselling, and then shown you all the contracts that are attached to that, and only what that line item costs across those contracts. So now for our EDR, for our email security, whatever that one service item is, this is how much revenue we're making on that, and this is how much profit we're making off of that. So now you can start to make more informed decisions beyond just saving your time or your administrator's time and recouping your revenue. You can start seeing where you're actually making money or not, right? You might have some services where you made a commitment to a client and now they're over consuming, but you're losing money on that. And maybe that's not just on one client, that could be across all of the clients. And when you look at your contract by contract breakdown, chances are you're still profitable on your client contracts and you think everything's hunky-dory here. But if you look at that one line item, you might be losing $1,000 a month on just that line item, which all of a sudden boosts to profit. Whether you just set your pricing with your client or made adjustments, or just drop it from your portfolio, go to your clients and say, hey, I know you kind of liked it. We're not making any money off it. So I either got to start charging you for it or we're just going to drop it. So it helps you get that sanity check as to what's truly driving and pushing the needle for your business. The other thing is that, again, like, this is no slam on any software product in our market, but typically just software products aren't fast. So the more mouse clicks you have to do in any PSA or a bunch of other solutions, you have screen load wait times. And because of the granularity of how contracts are structured and everything else, within the average PSA, you're doing a search for a client or you're pulling them from the list, doing a search through their contracts after loading their contract list. Then the services list opens up and takes time. And then you got to click to edit that. And then you're going to your vendor portal and saying, okay, this client, they're using this many. Is that the right amount? Yeah, that's the right amount. Well, I just invested how much time to find out that I'm already charging them the right amount? Or then it's like, okay, yeah, now I need this. They are using more. So then I get to click edit, wait for the edit screen to load and do stuff. Whereas in our system, even if you're not using any of the automation, if you're just in the free system, we'll already show you the revenue and profit breakdown per service line. But you've just got all of these cards right there in front of your face. You don't have any other edits to do. If it's the same, you just say reconcile. Writes back to your PSA right away. It's gone. So you're not worried about redoing things, where you left off, anything else. And it's a quick push, and you can mass select and send them all back. The next way is, how about we just avoid that whole human error and confusion and dyslexia and dizziness that happens? Just drag and drop your consumption report from your vendor or your distributor. It's just like almost all of them, if you look through their knowledge bases, and we're compiling a big list of them ourselves, give you a method to export your client consumption or usage report or whatever. You just drag and drop that into our system. We map up the clients. You tell us exactly which services it relates to, and then it swoops over and does it all. So you've got this crazy quick, comparison analysis that happens, this crazy quick write back. Everything just gets done for you. So even on the free version, you can probably take your 10 plus hours that you're spending on this and probably cut that in half just on screen load wait times. When you add up to the pro version, which don't want to plug too much, like $49 a month, by the way, now you just took that even 5 hours that it might be taking you down to 45 minutes to just drag and drop and do a quick review, and it's done. So,
and really one thing I want to highlight what Colin is saying here is that he really does mean 45 minutes and you're done, because it's not that it's reconciling on the system and then you go back into the PSA and fix it. You can actually in Billable adjust what you need to do, and it will update the PSA on what you're billing. So it's like, not only are you consolidating it in one view, but you're also fixing it in one place. You're not going through the multiple different dashboards. Like, you got the true source. It doesn't mean, okay, now I got to take true source and update and go from there. You can actually do it right in the system itself.
Yeah. So that's how we're going about it. The next iteration starts to introduce integrations direct with the various channel vendors. So, we're already working with a bunch of channel vendors. We released an open API to the industry so that any vendor that's reselling or has a channel program, they can build an integration with us, and it flows through to any of the 8 most popular PSAs that we integrate with today. So we've got a number of vendors that are integrating with us on that. If you've got a vendor that you want integrated through, I'll tell you why they haven't for the most part. It's not because they don't want to. They do want to. There's a whole bunch of hoops to jump through to get the API accesses, to then build an integration, to then test that integration with some of their partners and then launch it. And then they're not building one integration. You mentioned Synchro, so there's one. There's some other, ConnectWise and Autotask and Kaseya and TigerPaw, and it goes on. And now they're trying to decide, how much effort and R&D can we afford to put into building and maintaining these, copious amounts of integrations over time. So we're solving that for them, and we're using that to solve the problem for the MSPs as well. So if you have vendors that aren't integrated, introduce them to Gradient. We don't even charge vendors for it. So we're not looking for you to introduce us to new revenue. We want this problem solved for you so that this can just flow through automatically, and we can just help connect the dots and all that for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, everyone thinks software is easy, so they don't understand the big deal. And I was a database manager in DevOps for 10 years, and trust me, there's a lot of stuff that goes into it, like you say. And even then, when it goes out bad, then it's like, well, why didn't they QA it? And why didn't they QC it? Oh, they did. They just didn't see that edge case that bit
Yeah.
us really bad. So it to say it the least, definitely a lot of stuff to do. Rick, as far as what you do right now for reconciling, and now as you kind of are transitioning, delegating obviously to your team, what do you find yourself that you kind of kick yourself over and over again on? Man, I need to make time for this, but I just haven't had the chance to get to. When it comes to, I know I got to take care of my cost. I know I got to take care of, like, what is it specifically for you that you're looking to do on trying to reconcile on your books and just making sure that you're billing properly?
Well, it is exactly as Colin was talking. I was sitting here like, wow. Last year I took on this project. About this time of the year, I took on this project. I was going to change the way. So I bundled. I use Synchro as well. So I bundled all of my contracts. Now I bundled into a one line item, took each individual item and made an equivalent product in QuickBooks for it. So when I build a client, it would go over as a revenue in each line. But two things happen, of course. If you don't reconcile, when you add more clients, so your number ends up, becoming higher. Somehow I ended up billing, paying for more seats than I'm billing for, basically, in a lot of categories. And if you don't watch the numbers each month, you're lost. And then I remember, and this is what really was like, I got to figure out another way. And I'm signing up for the trial as we talk now. As my accountant is going through the books, he goes,
ROI already. We got a new customer. We got a new partner.
And so, it's the, it's always the quest. You hear me, or everybody hears me on this show every week on the quest to get it right, to do it better. And it's so many things we as technicians trying to focus on the business. It's all just so many steps that we have to cover. And we're so used to figuring out everything on our own that we try to figure out on our own, and we end up shooting ourselves in the foot. And so for me, I'm sorry to cut you off, but for me, again, to answer your question, Paco, I'm still trying to figure out how to reconcile.
That's what I figured you would say.
Yeah. One thing we didn't even talk about with all this. So you just proved it, Rick. Like you said, I'm paying for these licenses, but I'm not charging for them.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's pure profit you're missing out on. Now, as we've been looking through some of the stuff that we're working on and talking to MSPs, one MSP came to us and they're like, do you realize how the revenue you're recovering is really profit that you're recovering impacts the valuation of the MSP? So, hands up in the room, if you want to sell your MSP one day, like, hello, right? Well, the way that your MSP gets valued is generally on a multiplier of your EBITDA, right? How profitable are you? And now we're going to say it's this many times is what the value of your business is. And there's two things that impact how high of a multiplier, how large of a multiplier you get on that EBITDA number. One of them is your overall top line revenue, right? The higher your top line revenue is, the bigger the multiple that you get, because they can find more synergies, they can get more return on their investment, they get more market share, more cross-pollination of other services, whatever it is. The other one is your year-over-year growth rate. Well, guess what finding more revenue does? One, it increases your overall revenue, and two, it increases your year-over-year growth rate. So if you had, and I hate math, but let's say you're $1 million business, okay? And your average profitability, maybe you do 20%, you're pretty much a best in class. You got 200 grand in profit. Okay, on that, you might be looking at a 4 or 5x. So let's say 4x. So you got 200 grand times 4, you got an 800K business on your hands. Not too shabby. Now let's say we're able to recover 10% of your revenue on $1 million bucks. So there's $100K we've just found. Now we've already discovered you're paying for that $100K. You're just not charging for it. So now you're a $300K profitability business, and we've just bumped you up to 1.1 million. So even if you're only at 4x, maybe that bumps you up into a 5x because you got a little bit extra growth, everything else. Now we found you 500K in business value, but we also added 100K, or we added a whole other 200K because we got you an extra number on your multiplier. So you got 600K more now, right? So you're a $1.4 million business from, like, it's almost doubling the value of the business just by uncovering 10% of the revenue that wasn't billed for before, because it's all profit. So when it comes to getting loans against cap, whether it's, an operating line that you're looking to get, you've got more, value in your business, whether it's you're negotiating to sell. If anybody's in the middle of an M&A transaction right now, sign up for Gradient today. Let me know. We'll give it to you for free for a good while, because we want that case study where you recover revenue and it impacts the price that you get at the end of the day. Like, this is what we're trying to do. Like, we're not just trying to say your success is our success or anything else. We're literally trying to change the lives of MSPs with the most impactful areas that we can do that. And if that means that somebody can truly retire off of the exit from their MSP now, or if that just means they can take and afford another vacation every year, or hire one more person so that they're not spending all of their evenings and weekends doing this stuff. That's what we're hell-bent and focused on.
Yeah. I mean, I think you said it best, where, like, no matter the size of your internet service providing business or your MSP, there's benefit all around to be able to figure out where you can recover that lost revenue. And I think you had a great blog post I saw the other day on LinkedIn that kind of explained, hey, this is why you can go ahead and, like, yeah, it's lost revenue, because it really is that. It's lost revenue, lost profit, lost its dollars. And, I always try, and a lot of shows that I've done, I always talk about what I call the holy trinity of sales. It's increase revenue, reduce costs, and expand market share. And we always focus on the reducing costs piece of it, but we don't for our clients, but we don't look about how are we being efficient with our costs internally. And that's a big piece to really talk about from that as well.
Yeah.
But let's take a quick break. Let's go ahead and we'll come back and chat more on just any final thoughts or anything we may not have covered on, kind of, because again, 3 months is a long time on a lot of the things you've done. I wanted to talk more about your virtual summit you had too, about Leg Up that you just recently had, which I thought was really great. So, but if you want to support this show, go to patreon.com/MSP Unplugged. There it's about $1 a show, and you'll be able to not only support us just for everything that we're doing here, but it also gains you access to more information internally as far as on our online community. You need to know updates before we announce it to the public, such as Techcon Unplugged. And really, it's a good group where it's allowing a lot of people that to really just speak truthfully and honestly on just anything they're trying to learn. We've created a safe space that, there is no stupid question, and it allows us to make sure that if anyone does make anyone feel that, unqualified or just trying to speak that their opinion is fact, we have a way of dealing with that, and it's make sure that we address it. So again, that it's a safe space. So if that's something you're interested in, head over to patreon.com/MSP Unplugged. And we also want to thank those that continuously support us. All right. So Colin, we talked quite a bit on how Billable, which is the latest module that's been released from Gradient, and how it's being really helpful to MSPs. And we've gone through a lot of those scenarios. Is there anything that we may not have touched on, or maybe just to help pique those that are listening to just sign up for a demo and really understand kind of what they're trying to really try to get the most out of what they can from their own business?
I think we've said a lot about time savings and optimization and profit and, save frustration and everything else. And I know how hesitant MSPs can be about jumping in with new services. So we've made everything frictionless. If you want to watch a demo of the product before you jump in, go on the website and watch a demo. Like, it's right there. You're not requesting a one-on-one. We're redirecting you right away to the video so that you can just watch it. And it's such a simple system to walk you through. It's only a 6-minute video. So you can go watch the demo, do that. The other thing, like I said, it starts for free. So you can go and sign up we're not asking you to give us a password. It's single sign-on with your Microsoft or Google account or Magic Link. You can sign up, get into it completely free, and try everything. And that's not just a free trial. Like that free level is always free. And then if you want to try the automation, you get a 14-day free trial, but there's no credit card up front. We're not chasing you, or we're not going to charge you as soon as your trial expires because you forgot to cancel or you didn't get a chance to implement it or use it. It waits there, and we'll nurture you and follow up by emails and stuff, but you don't have to talk to salespeople with us. You don't have to, get chased, get phone calls, get all that stuff. We're taking this approach based off of MSP's feedback and what they've been begging for in Facebook groups and Reddit and everything else. So we're delivering this to you in the way that you're asking to be delivered to. And all that we ask is that you give that a try. Go in and try it. If you're security or privacy conscious or focused, we are SOC 2 Type 2 certified compliant. We are HIPAA compliant. We are GDPR compliant. We're very serious about how we're approaching the business and making sure that everything that we have is secure, private, confidential, and reliable. We like other people, we don't let our friends host in US East 1. Like some other people had some issues this week, so we didn't go down. But just hop in and try it. It's free. You're not given payment information. You're not given anything else. What do you got to lose? Even if you use the trial and recover a couple grand in revenue and then you cancel, so be it, right? At least we did you some good and you got a chance to see it. But for $49 a month ongoing, I think with what you recovered, you could pay for us for a few years.
Right. And shame on you for just signing up and then doing that to it. That's not a good way of being a partner in dual fence. We are very proponents of doing, it's a two-way street. It's always got to be, as much as what the vendor is doing for us, we got to do right by the vendors as well. And again, that's why I always say it's partners. That's the point of why we're all doing this and why we try to focus on the channel. So I think that's a big piece of that as well. Rick, any final thoughts on before we hand off here?
I'm just going to try. I'm going to try it out myself. I know that I could definitely use the help. I won't be a one and done type guy, but I do want to echo what Paco was saying is that, there are a lot of tools out there that, we meet some great vendors, and a lot of the products, are really good and they're really helpful to us, and then again, you don't have to use everything. Use what's smart to use in your business, what makes sense, because in the end, we are running a business. So you need to be strategic about what you use, how you use it, and what's only going to be beneficial to you. But I encourage everyone to try the things and that would save you time, because that is the commodity in our business that, that we can't get it back. And
can't recover.
It kills us a lot. And I'm speaking from personal experience. You guys have heard me on here week after week talking about some of the things that I've been trying to do manual that I necessarily shouldn't be doing.
That is for sure. But no, yeah. I mean, Colin, really appreciate you taking the time to come on Friday afternoon. Again, special episode that we have for this week, but we wanted to make sure we chat more on kind of what you had coming out and what's available for the community. For those that want to just know more, maybe to reach out to you or know more about Gradient, what's the best way for them to do so? Just
hit up meetgradient.com. If you just want to jump in and get the party started, you add a /register and just get cracking. But it's as easy as that. All of our information's up there, and engage with us in the way that makes the most sense for you.
Very cool. One thing I did forget to mention before we end off is you did have a virtual summit last month on the 17th, leg up.
Yeah.
Wanted to talk more on is that something that Gradient is looking to do on a more constant basis? I thought it was a great collaboration with other vendors in the space. How was that for you all and just community engagement?
Yeah, it was awesome. We had some technical difficulties, but we made it through, and we were so thrilled with the amount of people that stayed with us through all of that. But we did. It was a virtual conference, and just goes true to our mission of wanting to connect and build better relationships between vendors and MSPs. So you'll probably see us do another virtual conference like that in, call it, mid-22. And then, mum's the word right now on if we end up pulling a live one together in 2022 here or not. but it is something that we're looking at.
Nice. Very cool. Yeah, I thought it was great. I mean, we had Ray Orsini over there interviewing you and
Yeah.
Dave, and it was a really good time. It was a really great. So yeah, definitely for those, keep an eye out and head over to Gradient's website. We'll have that in the show notes as well. So again, really appreciate you taking the time. Rick.
Awesome.
If anyone wants to know what you're up to nowadays, how can they go ahead and reach out to you?
I'm trying to fix something. You can always reach me the same way, rick@renactus.com. Again, I'm going to give my same end of show speech. We are working very hard to make sure that this year's Techcon is the best ever. So I'm continuously going to invite everyone. If you have any questions, suggestions, complaints, anything you want to say about it that we can help make it better, please send an email, info@mspunplugged.com or rick@mspunplugged.com.
No, yeah, like just what Rick mentioned. I mean, it's going to be a different style of what we're doing at TechCon this year. We'll explain why, what that means. But for everyone, it's just more for just getting better. We're looking to try and up the ante of what we've done in previous years. And as much as I always try to dramatically say it's my favorite thing to do, it really is. I think it was a mission of ours to try and make sure we get everybody together, whether you're a part-time one person show to a MSP that's been around for many years, and you're just trying to stay on cutting edge and just understanding what's out there. This is an open space for everyone there. So appreciate everyone tuning in live and listening to the audio. Come join us every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Central, noon Eastern. Watch live and hang out on the chat room over at youtube.com/MSP Unplugged. Subscribe and hit that notification button so you can never miss an episode. And feel free to just take us wherever you go. You can use your favorite podcasting app to take us on Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, or on Spotify as well. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next time on MSP Unplugged.